Default risks, strict lending from banks have reached highest levels since 2008. I'm not following this question completely, but I think what you're getting at is lending standards. The amount of lending period is going down. Jesse Felder just put up, if you're not following him on Twitter, he's one of the people I follow. He's fantastic. And I've interviewed him for the Rebel Capitalist show a few times. And he put up a chart how bank lending is going down in the last 2 or 3 weeks, like a real-time chart where bank lending was way down. If you've been watching my videos, you know that M1 and M2 have been declining. And most people think that's because people are draining their savings account. That's really not entirely true because it makes you believe they have less purchasing power. It is true that they're draining their savings account, but what they're doing is they're parlaying that into a money market fund or treasury, something like that. So then that pulls out of M2 because it goes into the TGA, or the TGA uses that to pay off a bank, something like that. Or if it goes into a money market fund, likely it goes into reverse repo. So if you look at the balance sheet, it's still the same. It's not really shrinking. But that was because you look at loans and leases, or you look at the amount of credit that banks are extending, and it was still going up. Okay, well, once that starts going down, which is what we've seen over the last couple of weeks, and we'll have to watch this very closely, but if M1 and M2 start to go down, while at the same time the amount of bank lending is going down, then you might be able to come to the conclusion that the decrease in money supply is actually decreasing the balance sheet, because those dollars on net balance are going to pay off loans, right? And because the majority of dollars are being used drawing down out of savings to pay off loans and not by treasuries or not by money market funds, then on net balance, you have less currency units being created, because when a loan is paid off, you're destroying M2. When a loan is created, you're creating M2. So again, just to be super clear here, if we see the amount of bank lending continue to go down, and if we see M1 and M2 continue to go down, it would be safe to assume that the reason those money metrics, if you will, currency metrics are going down is because the balance sheet of the average Joe and Jane is actually shrinking. Now you may say, okay, George, well, that means that they got more balance sheet capacity to borrow. Okay, yeah, but usually if you see that balance sheet decline, it's because they're having to really, really tighten their belt. And if they're tightening their belt and the amount of currency units circulating are actually decreasing, and the balance sheet is decreasing, therefore purchasing power is decreasing, that means aggregate demand most likely going down, and that is not good. That's what recessions are made out of. So those are two charts that I would watch very closely: the amount of credit or amount of loans that banks are doing, and M1, and specifically about M1, because there's like 3 metrics that the Fed uses. It's like checking accounts, savings accounts, currency, and circulation. I'd get hyper focused on that savings account metric within M1.